So in the previous session, we have seen that we can deploy your applications, means like you can install your applications on Kubernetes cluster with the standalone pods. So that is one of the workload where you can deploy your application and run it and test it. Okay, means like you can access internally or externally using some host port, whatever it is. And then we have seen the next workload which added some functionality. So it is not something, it is a different, what do you say, workload which will be deployed and will be running with a different, what do you say, any other separate platform. It's not another separate, what do you say, option for us to deploy our application. Actually, again, it is a pod which will get deployed of your application, but now it will add some functionality to it. Okay, instead of standalone pod, now you are adding some functionality to deploy your application on this workload, which is nothing but replica set or replication controller, where we have seen that if you want your containers application should be running with number of replicas, okay, instead of one pod, then you need to go for either replica set or replication controller. So the better choice is to go with the replica set. Why? Because we have some option to add your selectors. Okay, like options, expressions where you can specify with the operator like in, not in, okay, equal to, not equal to, and where we can define our labels. Okay, so now this is enough. Is this enough for me to deploy your application? No, actually. But there could be some situations where I might need to upgrade my application, right? So when I install my application on the Kubernetes cluster, it doesn't mean that always I run that particular version with the same version, right? I don't do that technically. So I might upgrade my application, or if something goes wrong, I need to downgrade my application as well. So in order to have this particular functionality, that is not provided by your replica set or replication controller. Okay, if you look at this diagram, technically you know about replica set till now. Okay, so this is replica set. Whatever the number you specify, those many number of pods will get created with the same template. Okay, data replication, you have to do it. Either you need to use a single, what do you say, NFS in the backend, and you can store the data of these three pods in a centralized location. Okay, as of now. But why? Because we have not discussed about PV and PVC concepts and other volume types as well. So we had discussed only a few volume types. In that, NFS is a better way for us to replicate the data as well. Okay, so keeping that aside, now in the replica set you have defined that, okay, I want three pods to be running in the backend so that I can choose any one of the pod to fetch the data. Okay, in the real time, if one of the pod is down, automatically my kube controller will take care of it, and that will try to create a new pod which is not satisfying my desired replica count. Okay, all these things are happened in the replica set and replication controller. Now additionally, I want to add some logical layer in the sense, additionally I want to add some functionality to run my application on my Kubernetes cluster, which is nothing but I want to upgrade or I want to downgrade, okay, at my application at any point of time. That upgrading and downgrading is called as rollout and roll in. Rollout in the sense it is called as upgrade, roll in the sense it's downgrade. Okay, rollback, we call it as, also call it as rollback. Okay, so rollout and rollback. Okay, so these are the additional functionality which you get when you install your application through deployment workload. Okay, so if you want that particular functionality, then you have to install your application through this particular workload. If you don't want that upgrading and downgrading your application, you can choose with replica set, no problem at all. Okay, but by default in productions or wherever you see, at least your application will be installed using deployment with replica 1. Okay, replica 1, that is a minimum that we use in order to install your application on that particular cluster, any cluster. If you take AKS, EKS, GKS, or your on-premises Kubernetes cluster, we try to use that, because you never know, right, when you will upgrade your application or when you will downgrade your application. So the better choice is go with a deployment object. Okay, so let us see what are the things we have to follow when you are using a deployment set in order to install your application. So this is how the diagram looks. as an administrator or as a user, you'll be passing the YAML file. In this cluster, your API server will take the request and it will do the necessary validation and all. After that, it will create a deployment. That deployment will use a replica set. Your deployment will use a replica set by default in the backend to create the number of pods what you specified, the number. Okay, so this is your Kubernetes cluster and this is your application which is getting installed. So this is the diagram how it looks. So in order to do it practically, so we have some examples over here. Let me show it. Basic deployment. Okay, so here if you see, we are using the API version called app/v1. Whatever the API version you are using, you have changed from replica set, right? Pod, replication controller, both are using v1 as a API version. But when you are using replica set and deployment and other objects which you come across later, will be using apps/v1. Okay, so remember this. Kind is nothing but deployment, and the metadata, so everything seems to be similar, right? Kind, metadata, you'll be writing name of your deployment and the label, spec, revision history, forget about this right now, but I will tell you later what is this. Strategy also, now we don't use recreate, we will use the default strategy. Okay, now concentrate on this particular value. Replicas is equal to 3, which means that I want to create. Okay, so deployment has to create 3 pods for me in the backend. Okay, so that is my intention. So your deployment will take a help of your replica set. By default, it will take replica set. Okay, it will take the help of replica set, and then that replica set will try to create your pods in the back. Ultimately, your application will run as a pod. Okay, so that's the reason I told you like pods are important for you to understand. Okay, after that we are trying to learn some additional functionality. Okay, if I want this functionality, okay, go like this. If you want this functionality, okay, go with this particular option. This is what we are trying to do right now. Okay, now again you can see we have a selector, match labels, and then you are writing your label what you want to match with the template, so that in the template all the pods will try to get created with this particular template. So my all pods which are got created with this particular template will get a label called app temp-nginx. So I will be identifying my pods using this particular label. Simple. Okay, I will not use these two options right away. Okay, it is a part of the scenarios which we see right now. Now the first scenario is use the plain deployment with 3 replicas, and you'll have only one container inside that particular what do you say, that particular pod. Okay, it is having only nginx. Simple. I'm using the lower version of nginx actually because I just want to upgrade it, so that's the reason I'm using some least version of nginx version right now. Okay, so with this particular options I'm good to go. So and I can deploy this particular application nginx using deployment workload. So take this example. Okay, you can see it under deployment. You can see 04 deployment, and there you can see basic deployment.yaml. Okay, so first of all let me log in. I think I need to log in first, sorry. So let me log in. You can see these 2 nodes are up. Let me check first. So 90 and 91, right? So 90 and then we have 91. Yeah, so we can see we logged in. Waiting for 90. Okay, I don't want to use test user. Let me try to use root user of 90. Let me see if the 2 nodes are up. Yeah, there is something went wrong. Okay, it is trying to make my interface up. Let's wait for a few minutes. Why I'm using my local setup? Because my GCP account got expired. Okay, so that's the reason I'm showing you the Kubernetes cluster on my on premises. Okay, So my nodes are up. Let us try to install your application on this cluster using the deployment workload. Okay, so take the same example again. Let me copy this. I'll create a new directory, dir deployment. Okay, so let me change to that particular directory and let me create one file called sample nginx. Okay, oh, it's not, yeah. So you can see this. I'll be removing this particular revision history limit and then this strategy. Okay, simple. Your API version is app/v1, what we are trying to do. So let me, as we discussed, right? If I give v1 as you asked, okay, if I use v1 and let me try to create this particular object. Okay, so kubectl create -f sample nginx. You can see there no matching for a kind deployment in version v1. So simply it rejected. It's not even throwing you some warning. It is directly rejected that you're not, when you're using a kind called deployment, you cannot use a version called v1. Simple. Always, as I told you before, API resources. If you execute this command with grep called deployment, you can see that. You can see your API version is always, you have to go through this particular command and see what are the changes. Is there any changes in new release? Just execute this command and you'll come to know, or else go to the official document as you know. Okay, so in the official document you have to go like this. Okay, let's say deployment Kubernetes Kubernetes. You can just give like that. You'll get the official documentation, and then okay, you can just read what we have discussed. It is written same. We'll be discussing one by one as well, the points. And then you can see, is it app/v1? That's how it is. Okay. Earlier in the older versions, before maybe 1.16 or something, we used to use app/v1 beta 1. That is a beta 1 release actually. Beta release. Now it is official GA release. Okay. Now, okay, so keeping this point aside, let's try to modify our YAML file and make it as app/v1. Okay, so save this and come out. Now you should be allowed to create. Okay, so create -f. This is called a schema validation. Okay, right now why it is rejected? Because as per my schema, my deployment should have a version called v1, but I don't have that. Now you can say it is successfully created. So as we discussed, as per the diagram, okay, so it has to be your deployment. Your deployment should create a replica set, and that replica set will handle the number of pods that should create in the backend. Okay, now as per your YAML file, you have told that you need to create 3 replicas in the backend. Okay, all the pods should have this particular label. So who will try to create this replica set? So your deployment, replica set, and then your pods. So if you want to see this information, let us see one by one and what will be the naming convention for your actual objects. Okay. So kubectl get, you can use deploy as a shortcut name, or we can write deployments. Okay. Anything is accepted. -o void. Okay, so now we can see ready in the sense all the 3 pods are ready to serve the data. Okay, up to date as per my expectation, they are up to date as per my desired YAML file. Okay, available in the sense all the 3 pods are available to accept the request. Okay, so this is my container, and this was created, this deployment was created 56 seconds ago, and this is the image which is used in the deployment, and this is the selector. Okay, now this deployment will create a replica set. So kubectl get rs shortcut name -o void. Now you can see your replica set name will be something like, the prefix will be your deployment name hyphen some random number. Okay, so that's how the naming convention will be there. Okay, so that it can identify your replica set can know that this was created with the help of this. Okay, and you can see the desired current ready. Okay, and you can see the containers, like which container, what is a container name, and what is the image used, and what is a selector. Okay, you can see the selector, and additional selector is nothing but pod template hash code. Okay, because tomorrow when you upgrade that, the hash code will get changed but the label will be the same, selector. Okay, so to store that particular information they will use a hash code to identify your different when you upgrade, right, a different replica sets will get created. So that different replica sets will have a different hash code. Okay, you'll come to know, I'll show you that when you upgrade this particular application. Okay, so after this, your actual pods will get created, right? So PO is a shortcut name. You can see your pods are running fine now. All the three pods are running. You can see the naming convention. Same name as the prefix will be the same name of your replica set. You can see here. Okay. Only the random number. Here this will get changed. Okay, so that's how it is. So this is how the hierarchy it looks. Your deployment will create first, and that deployment will take the help of replica set, and that replica set will create a pods for me. Okay, so this is how it is. So every pod got an IP address. So if I try to do a curl on this, you already know that I'll get welcome to Nginx. Okay, as per this particular Nginx web application. Let's see, is there an issue in communication? Here I was able to run curl, but from here it was not accepting. Let's wait. Let me see, is there any issue with the networking? This could happen if any one of the pod in my namespace is having some issue. Here you can see my Calico, this particular pod is having some issue. This is causing an issue. What I can do, the simple thing is, let me try to delete this. Automatically it will recreate. Okay, so kubectl delete hyphen and which namespace, calico hyphen system. So I understood. Okay, since I know that, I came to know that there could be some issue of the pod. Okay, generally we start troubleshooting from scratch, right? So here you can see I was able to run the curl command from the node where I have installed. Means my pod was assigned to this particular node, so that's the reason I was able to run the curl command without any issue. But when I'm trying to do from the worker like control plane node, I was not able to. Then I understood that okay, there is some issue with networking. Okay, so networking in the sense, what, your networking was deployed as a pod, nothing but Calico. Your Calico networking was running as a pod, each and every component. So then I thought, like, okay, let me see the pod status of each and every Calico. All the Calico pods are running fine except this particular pod which is not running fine. Okay, and this is especially, this particular pod belongs to, you can see here, the pod which is in unknown state, it belongs to this particular compute. Okay, so then let me try to create so that it will be reachable from the other nodes as well. So let me try to do that first. So this one, let me copy, kubectl delete pod, this one, and the namespace is calico hyphen system. Okay, I am deleting this to, in order to avoid the, like, to avoid this time waste and all, right? So that's the reason I deleted. But intentionally we have to troubleshoot. You have to know, you have to look at the description. If you don't get anything, go to the logs, kubectl logs, and get that pod id and give the namespace, and you will see the logs what went wrong. So based on that you need to start troubleshooting. Okay, simple solution for right now is nothing but delete that. Automatically you can see now it got created successfully 26 seconds ago. Okay, fine.
But Sudhir, this
Yes,
static pod is definitely up
not it
automatically, right?
is, it is not static. It's not
Okay,
static. Okay,
okay.
if you remember, we have applied the YAML file. Okay, that YAML file you got it from the Calico official page, and then you executed two
Mm.
files, right? One is Tigeria operator YAML file, and one is custom resource YAML file. Okay, so when you apply that YAML file, it is not static, it is a manifest file which we applied. Okay, it is not static
Okay.
pod.
So it is
Why
gonna
why
store in
so
PC
okay, you might
state and
got it.
manifest.
Okay, why you got this question is I deleted but it still got created. That's what your
Yeah, yes,
confusion. Okay,
yes.
simple. See, this Calico, this particular pod was created with the help of deployment. Okay, if you see
Okay.
kubectl get all hyphen hyphen all hyphen namespaces, if you look at this, you can see here this was not a standalone pod. If it is standalone pod, you could have seen some different name, maybe calico type or something like some random some name. But why it is having some random number again and a random number? Maybe it is created through deployment or demonstrate or something like that. If you try to look at this, here is my deployment, you can see here. Okay, it is
Mm, yeah.
created.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Sudhir.
So as we discussed, if you delete also, it will try to recreate. That's the reason why I deleted it without any second thought. Okay, so it is running. Let me try to run the curl command and see whether I will be able to communicate or not. Still, I am not. Okay, so what I want to do is kubectl get for hyphen o white. Okay, let me take this. If that is a case, okay, then we have 70. No, okay. kubectl delete. Okay, let me give all in the sense it will show you everything. You can see old ones are getting terminated and new ones are getting created. Let's wait until this is done. Okay, now you can see these are running. You can see a different IP address 71, 72, 73, right? Oh, still it's not working, huh? I have to troubleshoot. Okay. So in order to see that whether I was able to reach this particular IP address or not, we have a tool called traceroute. So traceroute will tell you from your system, wherever you're running the command, are you able to reach to that particular IP address or not? Okay, it will show you whether if it is reachable, it will show you which IP address it has crossed. Means like what is the gateway it has been crossed. If it is not reachable, it will show you some dots, like some particular star symbols saying that it has dropped somewhere. Okay, so let's see that trace route, the IP address. Okay, it has reached the gateway 1.1 and then it reached outside. It is going, you can see here it is not able to reach, but actually it is internal. So I have to check this. Okay. So the packets are getting dropped. Okay, it is not able to reach the destination. Okay, from my system to that particular system. But here if you execute the same command on the same machine, it will be successful. Okay, you can see here. If you want the proof, you can see here. Oh, let me try to install this. This I will troubleshoot later, but let me show you. But anyway, your applications are running. The only thing is like it is not reachable from the control plane. It is reachable only from the node where you're trying to run. Okay. Obviously that could happen, right? Why? Because it is on the same machine. So you can reach there. You can see it's right. Successful. There is no drop at all. Okay. But here there is some drops in the packets while reaching it. Okay, this is one of the way to troubleshoot. Okay, I will try to fix it later, but right now let us try to understand the concept of this particular deployment. Okay, so this deployment has created these many pods based on the parameter which you passed in the replicas. Now let's say I want to increase it. I want to increase the number of replicas. The first scenario is I want to work on replicas, how we did it on replica set and replication controller, right? Similarly, do I have that functionality? Yes, obviously. That functionality you will get it. Why? Because you are taking the help of replica set. So that replica set will trying to create a replicas for you, the number of ports what you specified. Now if I want to increase, I can increase. If I want to decrease, I can decrease. All the ports, new ports will get created with the same template. Okay. So in order to increase the replicas, okay, this could be one of the CKA exam question. Okay, deployment will be there. They'll tell you what deployment and which namespace. They'll ask you to increase the number of replicas. Okay, so kubectl scale, okay, hyphen replicas is equal to, let's say, 5 in the sense 3 exist and 2 should be created, so that it will satisfy the condition of 5. Okay, so 3 are already created, 2 should be created additionally, right? So scale is equal to 5. To whom I need to apply this? Deployment object, the name of the object. What is the name? nginx hyphen deployment. Okay, enter. Now it is applied. If you look at this, 2 additional pods are getting created. You can see there it is under creation process. So let's wait. You can see your desired, your expectation is to have, as per your YAML, the expectation is 5. Currently we are trying to create 5. In that, only 3 are ready as of now. 2 are under maybe creation process, maybe a failure, maybe something is going on. Okay, but out of this 5, only 3 are ready right now. Okay, you can see in the deployment status as well. In the pods also you can see the containers are under creation process. Now if you look at that, it might be successful. Yes, so you can see it is successful. All the 5 pods are ready and all are like as per the expected number. Okay, your desired and your current both are matching, and this is also ready. Okay, so this is what we have to observe. Now if I want to decrease it, simple, same command, you have to give the number, how many pods you want to run. That is nothing but scale down. Okay, so this is nothing but scale down and nothing but scale out. Scale out, scale in, which we can also call it as. Okay, so if I say 2, enter. Now we can say it is like replicas is equal to 2. Now if you see the number of pods, okay, so additional 3 pods are getting terminated. Okay, just a second. So you can see additional 3 pods are getting terminated. So which will get terminated first? Last in first out, means the pods which are created last, those pods will get created first. Okay, the old pods will have low priority in deletion. Okay, so those pods will get deleted at the last. The new pods which are created, those will get deleted first. Okay, so that is why it is called as last in first out. Okay, so now you can see there will be only 2 pods running. That's it. You can see only 2
So
pods are
the in
running right now.
replica set,
Yes, please.
yes, so I have one doubt here.
Yeah.
In replica sets, we are creating the 2 pods, right? If any pod was failure, how we will troubleshoot that one?
Means, see, failure in the sense every pod you will try to troubleshoot in the same way. First, describe. Okay, first look at the status. Is it image pull error or something like that? Just see. How will you come to know that? Just you have to do a describe of this particular pod. Then in the event logs, you will come to know. See, let's say you'll give kubectl describe, and then if you give this, it will show you in the event logs what went wrong. Okay, maybe some image pull issue or node is not available, or after container got created something went wrong. Okay, there could be a different failure that you can get it from the event logs. If you are not able to see from here, the next option is kubectl logs. Okay, then you need to give your pod name. Let's say, so my pod name is, okay, then you can see the logs. Okay, so right now we don't have any logs here. Okay, so this is how it is. So we don't have any logs in this, and these logs are not getting generated in the standard output. So that's the reason you are not able to see it. Simple. Okay. So generally we have to troubleshoot in these two ways, or else you need to go to the container level. We use CRACTL, or if you use a Docker, just give a Docker logs as well and look at the issues of a specific container. Okay, you might see the exit code or something, right? By looking at that, we can
Yeah.
understand, or else you need to look at the logs of the container and you need to get it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
where those logs are saved, stored under where lib or somewhere else.
see, these logs are not belongs to your var lib or something. These logs are inside the container which you are trying to see. Okay, these logs, when you try to execute kubectl logs command, you are not able to see some output, in the sense the logs which are getting generated are stored directly into the files inside the container. Inside the container also we will have var log directory and all. File system is a file system, right? Whatever you see in your base
Yeah.
operating system, you will see inside the container also. If it is Ubuntu, var log, that's specific thing, right? So the logs which are stored, it is inside the container, so they are directly storing the logs inside the file itself. So that's the reason you are not able to see in the terminal. Then what you need to do, you have to change your functionality. You need to build your own image, do some modifications, like it should store in the file as well as it should show me the standard output as well. Standard output in the sense, what is the benefit do you get when you execute this kubectl logs command, right? It will show you the logs in the terminal itself. Okay, terminal as well, so that you can see it. No need to go to the file, log into the pod and just get the file data and all. It's not needed. So that will save your time in troubleshooting. Okay, so that is the intention.
Okay. Thank you.
So this deployment was running, everything is fine. So we did scale in and scale out. What are the functionality we got it in Replica set, in the deployment also we have it as we discussed. So now let us concentrate on upgrading. Okay, I'm going with the default option, which means that my deployment was created with all default options. Okay, all default options, and now I want to upgrade my application. So how to do it? Okay, so for that there are two ways. One is you need to modify your YAML file and apply it. That is the first thing. Or else now you will come to know what is an apply. Okay, now let me modify through YAML file. CLI we will see later. Okay, where is my YAML file? This. Now you want to change it. Means let's say you want to use 1.16.2 for example. You have it for example 16.1 or 1.19.2. Okay, save this and come out. Your object is already exist. Okay, your deployment already exists, and now we are trying to reapply this YAML file. Okay, if you execute kubectl create -f sample, what happens? It will say that object already exists. Nginx and deployment already exist. Okay, so it is telling you this particular error code already exists. Okay, so now let us try to do an apply. You can see apply doesn't take care of this. If object already exists also, if there is some change in your YAML file and there is some other, say what you are trying to change is different from what is running inside the cluster, then it will try to modify it if it is allowed. Not all the options you can modify. Okay, remember one point, it doesn't mean that everything you can just modify and apply it. No, only few things can be done, like replicas, like changing the image. Okay, so these things are allowed. Okay, if I try to change something, that will be not allowed. Let me show you that example as well once this is done. Okay, now we can see, now we understood what is the difference between create and apply. Apply in the sense, even though the object exists, and if you are allowed to modify the existing object with some parameters, that you have to apply through, sorry, that you can just modify through apply. Okay, create in the sense, when you're trying to create for the first time that object on the cluster. Okay, so for that we have to use create. Apply can be used for both creating for the first time, or else if it is already exist, if I'm trying to modify something, that is also allowed. Both the things can happen. Okay, so this is about create and apply. Anyways, so this is created, and now if you look at your status, now all my pods should show it is using 1.19.0. Your deployment is showing you that the image is 1.19.0, but in replica set you can see two options. Okay, the old hashtag has been deleted, means the pods got deleted, but your replica set is still available with that image id, means with that template your metadata information is still available in the etcd. Why is this needed? Because tomorrow if you want to downgrade to this particular hash code, automatically it will use this particular replica set to create your pods. Okay, your pods will be created with the help of this replica set, right? Okay, so this replica set hash code is still available, template is already available, so that this template will be used when you're trying to downgrade to this particular image. Okay, so that is the intention. So that's the reason these details are still available. Okay, so don't try to delete this. Okay, and you can see here now this is the actual replica set which is running with the desired number of replicas. Okay, 1.19.0. Again you can see even that replica also got applied. Earlier it was 2, right? I reduced it to 2. In this YAML file I left that replica is equal to 3 and I modified only nginx image actually, but both got applied. Why? Because your intention is to have 3 replicas, and that got created. You can see which one here, which is the old one. That is a bit difficult, but you can see here 50 seconds. Okay, so this is the latest one. Okay, and here you can see this is how the replica set was created. Okay, this is called as upgrade. Okay, how will you come to know? There is an option. See, by looking at this command, okay, you will come to know that okay, 1.14.2 and 1.19.0. Again, if I upgrade, you will never know like which is your older version. Is this 1.14.2 is a like first version, or 1.19.0 is a second version, second release? You doesn't know about it, right? So that's the reason there is a command called kubectl rollout. Okay, history. Okay, deploy slash nginx hyphen deployment. So this will show you the number of revisions. Revision in the sense, in the first revision, the first time when you created your deployment is called as first revision. After that, if you have upgraded, then it will show you the second revision. Again, if you have upgraded, that is third revision. If you have downgraded, the old version will get deleted and that new version number will get stored. Okay, let us upgrade it once again. Okay, but from CLI. Now I will try to upgrade my application with the help of CLI. Okay, so let me show you how to do it. So from the CLI, if you want to do it, I already have the documentation. You can just pick it from there. You can take this one. This might be useful for you. Yeah. In the examination, they might ask you to do like this. Record in the sense, I will tell you what is the benefit of using this record option. Okay, but here you can see I'm trying to use 1.9.1, older image actually, but okay, fine. Or let's say 1.19.1, next version, right? It is upgrade process. So let's try to give like this in a proper way. You can see the deployment same. This is the command kubectl set image. I'm trying to modify image. To whom? To whom you are trying to modify? That is deployment, the deployment name, the container name equal to container name. If you doesn't know, just execute kubectl get deploy and you will come to know the container name. For this container, you are trying to modify the image called nginx 1.19.0 to 1.19.1. This is the modification which I'm trying to do. Okay, and then hyphen record in the sense, when whatever the command you executed, this command will be stored in this particular section, this column, change cause. Okay, in the change cause column, this particular command will get stored. Okay, so this is important in the CKA exam, CKA in the exam. Okay, they will ask you to record the command what you executed to upgrade. Okay, so record in the sense this. Okay, at the end, enter. Now it is updated, image updated. Now let's look at our rollout. You can see here, something is going on. Okay, let us try to understand later, but yeah, You can see now this is getting reduced, means the pods which are under this particular template are getting deleted, and with the new replica set those pods are getting created. Okay, you can see now almost it is done. Let's wait. If you look at your rollout history now you can see that why we gave that record. Okay, this can be done through YAML file as well. I'll show you later how to do it. Tomorrow we can see that. Okay, but from the CLI, if you want to record that particular command what you executed, the change which got caused, that you can give it in the help of ---- record. Okay, now you can see this is the third revision. Why? Because this is the second upgrade after the deployment was created. This is the second upgrade which we have done. This is the first one when it got created. Second one we upgraded it to 1.19.0. After that we upgraded to this particular revision. So if you want to see this particular revision details, okay, and compared to this particular revision details, if you want to see the details of this particular revision, we need to give something like rollout history --to revision. Oh sorry, just let's give revision equal to 1. You can see the details. Okay, if you want to give revision 2, just give this. Okay, so you can look at this particular things and you can understand the difference. Okay, what is this exactly? Okay, if you want to give 3, third revision is also there, right? You can see, look at this. This will be added in the annotation, so that's the reason you are able to see. Annotations we can discuss tomorrow. I'll tell you what is the benefit that you get when you are using this kind of things. Okay, it is similar to labels, but additionally it has some particular logical, it can handle some logical things as well. Okay, labels are just a metadata, it doesn't do any actions, but annotations can do some actions as well, what labels cannot do. Okay, we can discuss later, but this is how it is. So totally we have 3 revisions. Okay, so rollout history I have totally 3 revisions, which means that I have did the modifications of this deployment for 3 times. Okay, you can see now all the pods are up and running for me right now. Okay, you can see this particular replica set template and all. Now if I want to downgrade, so what is the case? Now I want to downgrade. So downgrade in the sense, we have a simple command, this rollout only. Let's say I want to jump from the third revision to the first revision. That is called as you are jumping from one version to another version. You are skipping in between, you have second revision, you are skipping that and directly you are jumping into revision 1. Okay, so while jumping this, if you want to jump to a specific revision, then you have to do in a different way. But if you want to jump to the next one step backward of your revision, then there is a simple way called, you can use rollout undo. Undo in the sense you are going back, means roll back. It is called as rollback. Undo, and then you need to give to revision, or if you don't specify this, okay, it will go one step backward. Okay, if you don't specify this, it will go one step backward, means the revision 3 will go back to revision 2, which means that it will use a image called 1.19.0. okay, so I'm not doing that. I want to jump to a revision called 1. So for that you need to add an additional option called -to -revision, okay, equal to 1. This is what you have to specify. Once you have specified, then enter. See, roll back to that particular revision. Okay, so if you try to give this particular command, you can see it is trying to use this revision. You can see this, where is it actually? Yeah, this one, 1.14.2. Why? Because my first revision was deployed with this particular image, so it is going back to that particular revision. Okay, all this happened so simple because of this particular replica set hashtag template hashtags which are already stored, they are not got deleted. So it is simple to restore to that particular revision at any point of time. Okay, you can see it's almost done. Okay, so now your pods are using with that particular Nginx version. Okay, so if you want the proof, just take this IP, go to this particular node. If you want to see, simple -i, keep this, you can see Nginx version is 1.14.2. okay, you came back. Okay, so this is if you look at your rollout history, now you can see the first revision got deleted. Why? Any reason? Yeah, so why? Because
As
you
far
will
as
have
we
some
need to
duplicate
delete.
entries, right, in the history. Your first revision and your fourth revision are similar. When the new revision got created, the old revision which is having the same history what your revision 1 is having, no need to save, right? So that's the reason that got deleted and fourth revision got added. Okay, so the old one will get deleted, revision number, and the new revision number will get saved. Okay, so this is how will happen through deployment. Okay, so this is what we have learned right now. We have scaling, we have done a scale in and scale out, we have done an upgrade as well. Okay, so tomorrow we will see how to we have seen downgrade as well, right? So tomorrow we will see, while upgrading this, can we follow a different strategy? What is a default strategy? What is other strategies we have when you're trying to upgrade your uh, what is application through deployment? So let us see that. Okay, and then we will see what is revision history, which I have told you that I will talk about that later. So tomorrow we will be talking about this and that. Which one? What is revision history limit, and what is the strategy? Okay, what is a default strategy that is used by deployment when you try to create, and what are the other strategies which we have to apply, and what are the benefit that we get out of this particular strategy? Okay, so tomorrow we will see about that. Okay.